we're still in chapter 11, like y'all been on. And what are we learning in chapter 11? Evan?
Correct, compare, equivalent, and comparison fractions.
Yep, we're comparing fractions. So, what is it at? Okay. So today is Wednesday, March 16th, making sure I have the right date on there really quickly. And we're going to be focusing in 11.5. Yesterday we worked on 11.4, okay?
You want us to get our math books out?
Not yet. So our standard for today, yesterday it was the same exact standard. Explain fraction equivalence by demonstrating and understanding that fractions with the same numerator or the same denominator can be compared by reasoning about their size based on the same whole. Raise your hand if you can tell me what part of this standard we focused on yesterday. Haley? The same numerator or the same denominator? Yes, we compared fractions that had the same denominator. So what part do you think we're going to focus on today?
Numerator.
Chloe? Yep, we're going to look at fractions that have the same numerator today. So expectations, they are the same expectations that we always have for you and the same ones we had yesterday. Make sure you are kind and respectful, not only to me and Miss Tuttle, but to each other. You need to make sure in group work you're keeping your voice at a whisper, especially since I'm having to record myself, guys. It was really hard to hear some of my small groups yesterday, okay? So only group that should be talking in small groups, the people at the teacher table with me and the people who are at the hands-on station. And the ones at the hands-on station, you've got to keep it at a whisper, okay? These two groups up here, you ain't got no reason to be talking. This is completely independent work, okay? Because I want to see, and Ms. Tuttle wants to see what you can do so that we know how to help you, okay? Be an active and participating member of your group. You all did really, really good yesterday whenever we were comparing the fraction bars. Everybody was talking. Everybody had something to add. I really, really liked that. So let's do that again today, okay? And there are no silly questions. Today's concept is a lot like yesterday's, so it may not be super confusing. But if y'all remember in small groups, we worked on that really hard problem number 16 where 5/8 and 5/8 were different distances. Some questions can be hard. So if you get confused, let me know, okay? So I can help. So, we kind of already reviewed, but what did we learn yesterday? Comparing fractions that had the same what? Lauren?
It has the same numerator?
No, not numerator. Aubrey? Yeah, we compared fractions that had the same denominator. That was a really good guess, Lauren. So our focus question for today, how do we compare fractions that have the same numerator? So literally the same exact question from yesterday, except we switched out denominator and we put in numerator. So lesson hook. So remember, whisper at your group. I want you to look at these two fractions. If you need to draw a picture, draw a picture. But I want you to tell me which fraction y'all think is bigger. Yes, Mom. Lena? No, you gotta talk with your group first. You're gonna whisper in your group for a couple minutes, and then we'll come together, okay? So whisper to your group which fraction you think is bigger. Shh. Whisper, Eden, baby. If you want to join this group right now, that's okay. I don't want an answer yet. I just want you to talk with your group. But thank you for being very excited. Draw some pictures if you need to compare them. Not yet. Once your group has an answer, if everybody can just hold a thumbs up right here so I know that they're ready, that'll help me a lot. Okay? First group, y'all still work. Remember when y'all working? That's good. I love seeing Sophia draw pictures out. Eden, baby, can you move right here real quick? Thank you. You don't have to get these pictures. Not quite yet. Oh, so we're okay. Every other group, y'all can put your thumbs down. I know what group still is working, okay? It's okay. But remember this. So y'all got an idea yet? Y'all do? Okay. So we're just going to take a poll, and I'm not going to tell you you whether you're right or wrong. Raise your hand if you think 1/3 is the bigger fraction. Raise your hand if you think 1/8 is the bigger fraction. Okay, so we have a pretty unanimous vote. I guess we'll see in a minute if we're right or wrong. So, key vocabulary. You can put your hands down, guys. So, equivalent fractions. Veer defined it for us yesterday, but who can tell me what equivalent fractions are today? Carmen.
Equivalent fraction is like you say like if you had 1/6 and 2/6, it's like those are who's like you shaded 2, but you have 4, and you have 1 and you shaded 1. That'll still be equal because they both have the same number of shaded.
Kind of. You're on the right track, okay? Lena, what is equivalent fractions?
Equivalent fraction is an equal
Fractions that are equal. So, going off what Carmen said, if I had a circle that had 4 parts, and I shaded in 2 of them, and then I had another circle that had 8 parts, and I shaded in 4 of them. 2 out of 4 is half of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 4 out of 8 is half, right? So those are equivalent fractions because the same part of the circle would be shaded, but they would have different denominators if I wrote them as fractions, okay? Numerator. Who can tell me what the numerator is? Is it the top number or the bottom number, Francesca? Top number. And who can tell me what it represents? Does it represent the number of parts that are shaded, or how many parts there are in whole? Haley. Perfect. Parts that are shaded. So if the numerator are the parts that are shaded, the denominator has to be what? The parts that are shaded or the parts that are whole? Pleasant? Thank you. Look at y'all. Smarty pants. So, purpose and relevance. Remember yesterday I said the purpose and relevance are why learning this is important. Okay? Purpose. Why it's important. Everybody's got to know how to compare fractions. It's pretty much the same exact purpose from yesterday. Think about it. When you're counting coins, 1/4 out of 4 quarters is 25 cents, right? That's 1/4 of a dollar. You've got to know these fractions so you can compare them and contrast them. Because if somebody offered you 1/4 of a dollar or 2/4 of a dollar, how would you know what the better deal was? Okay? Relevance. Now this is why this is important to you specifically. Yes, y'all have that really big standardized test coming up. So you need to know all the different ways to compare fractions. That way, on your standardized test, you can do the absolute best that me and Miss Tuttle both know y'all can do. Okay?
Okay.
Y'all are very smart kids. Y'all are going to do great on it. We're just offering you as many different strategies as possible. Now, a little bit more specific, say that you are offered 6/8 of a candy bar or 6/10 of a candy bar. How would you know which was the better deal? That was more of a rhetorical question, but thank you for being ready to answer. So we're going to do the teacher model, I do, the you do, we do, like we do every single time we do math, okay? Can you sit up, Casey? So let's look at these fraction bars. When the numerator is the same, so yesterday when the denominator was same, we looked at the numerator. Well today, when the numerator is the same, you see how all of these numerators are 1? We can look at the denominator to compare them. The more parts that the whole is divided into, the smaller the parts are. So this is how we started with 1.
Mr. Brooks, you're wanted in the cafeteria. Mr. Brooks, you're wanted in the cafeteria.
Okay, so we start with 1. We divide it into 2 pieces, and they're pretty big still, aren't they? But when we take that 1 and divide it into 3 pieces, 1/3 versus 1/2 is pretty small, isn't it? And then we look at 1/2 compared all the way down here to 1/6. 1/6 is tiny, isn't it? Yep. Compared to 1/2. The fewer parts the whole is divided into, the bigger the parts are. So, if we compared 1/2 to 1/5, which would be the bigger fraction? 1/2 or 1/5? Who said 1/2? You're right. Good job. I know somebody said it. I heard it. Good job, Francesca. So, let's compare these 2 fractions. 4/6 and 4/10. So we're going to learn two strategies today. Models and fraction bars. Same as what we learned yesterday, okay? So these are our models. This represents 4/6. So let me write that out. Oh, give me a second. And this is 4/10. So I'm going to look, and I can see that 4/6 is the bigger fraction. Right? Thumbs up if you agree with me. That 4/6 is the bigger fraction. Table 3, can y'all see it? See the board okay?
I can't do it.
If y'all need to go sit at teacher table so y'all can see the board, that's okay. But you see, thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you don't. It's okay to not agree with me. You disagree, Eden? Why do you disagree?
Because 10 is bigger than 6.
10 is bigger than 6. But because 10 is bigger, you see how, aren't these rectangles the same exact length? Okay, so if I think about it this way. I take a candy bar and I break it into 6 pieces. Then I take that exact same candy bar and I break it down into 10 pieces. Isn't 10 going to be a whole lot, when I break it into 10, those pieces would be smaller than if I had broken them into 6 pieces? You hadn't thought of that? No, it's okay. It's math, it's a big concept to think about. So just looking at it though, we see that 4/6 covers greater of a distance than 4/10 does, right? So which fraction would be the bigger fraction? Sophia, do you have an opinion? Which one? 4/6. So if I wrote this as a sentence, because you know yesterday we used greater than, less than, or equal to, it would look like this. We'd say 4/6 is greater than 4/10. Is it making sense so far? Okay. Now we're going to look at them using this style model. Yes, Carmen?
With the 4/6 and the 4/10 that you used, I thought the same thing about using the 6 is bigger. When you do something like that, you always focus on the top one, and you just use it.
So when the numerator is the same, we're going to focus on the bottom number. Remember, the bottom number is how many pieces there are in total. So the bigger the bottom number, the smaller the pieces, right? So we want the pieces that are bigger. Does that make sense? Does it?
Yes.
It's okay if it doesn't. I'll explain it a little bit better in teacher table when I can draw it out, okay? Maybe this model will help too, okay? So our fractions we're comparing are 2/4 and 2/8. So, yes, Tyler?
And that one to the 4th is like that, but you added 2 more lines.
Yeah, I had 2 more lines. So look at this, Carmen. You see how these are the same exact shape, aren't they? But this one's divided into 4. So is this piece much... Oh, every time. How do I get it to go back? Okay. This piece is a whole lot bigger than this piece, right? So if I offered you one piece out of one of these, and this was a chocolate bar, which one would you want? The bigger one, wouldn't you? So that's what we're saying. That the more pieces it's broken down into, the smaller those pieces are going to be because they have to be equal. Because of the fractions, all the parts are equal, right? So we're going to shade in these models. So our numerators are the same. So how many pieces should I shade in for both models, Haley?
2.
2. So I'm going to do a quick shading. So which model has more pieces colored in? Joshua?
Both of them.
Both have 2 pieces, but this one only has 2 pieces left to color, right? How many does this one have left to color?
6.
6. So which one has more pieces, less pieces, left to color?
The square with
That one?
equal parts.
Yes, okay. So, because it was broken down into less parts, there are less pieces left to cover. Okay? So, if we wrote this as with a greater than, less than, or equal to, what if I said this? right, thumbs down if you think I'm wrong. It's okay to say I'm wrong now. And thumbs in the middle if you're kind of confused. Okay, Lena, you say I'm wrong. Why am I wrong? 2/8 has really tiny pieces. So is it my bigger fraction or my smaller fraction? It is my smaller fraction. So the correct answer, and the way I should have wrote this is, sorry. So you know how yesterday we would cover up our bottom number and use the top numbers and compare them by which one was bigger? Today we're going to do the same thing, cover our top numbers, but we want the bottom number that's smaller. And I know that's counterintuitive. It's not what we think of, but it's because of how the pieces are broken down. Okay? So if I cover my top numbers, do I want the bigger number or the smaller number? Raise your hand if you know. Does anybody know? Evan? Do I want the bigger number or the smaller number?
Smaller.
I want the smaller number. Are there any questions so far? This is kind of hard, and I understand that. Carmen?
So when you do stuff like that, when it has the same number on the top, you gotta look on the bottom, you gotta choose the smaller.
Yes, exactly. When there's the same number on top, when you look at the bottom numbers, you want the smaller of them. When it's the same number on the bottom, though, I want the bigger number on top. Okay?
So since those things are bigger, that's why the 4C did.
Yes, you're correct. That is completely right. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you. Those are really, really good questions. Yes, Ms. Veer.
So the less the fraction, the bigger the fraction.
The less pieces it's broken down into, the bigger the pieces are. You're on the right track. So we're gonna move along. Do not grab anything yet. So we're gonna do stations. You're gonna be in the same station groups you were in yesterday. Same groups you always move in. You're gonna need the same things. Pencil, Chromebook, math folder. Go ahead and get those, stack them on your desk, and then sit down. Get your pencil, math folder, Chromebook. And then sit down quietly. Once you have all of 3 out, just give me a thumbs up so I know you're ready to move on. Delia's ready to move on. Lena, Tywin, Francesca, Edith, Lauren, Pleasant, Evan, Haley. Good job, guys. Veer's ready. Chloe's ready. Okay, Jaden's ready. Jordan's ready. So is Aubrey. You good, Isaiah? Okay, you ready now? Well, you gotta be in your seat to be ready. So, yes, Carmen. Oh, Carmen's ready, sorry. So we're gonna move same groups. And these are our stations today. Math packs, same as always. You're gonna work on green box, Lexia, reflex. Let's get those green boxes. I know it's reading, but if you finish green box and reflex, it's okay to go ahead and do Lexia, okay? Because I want you to get all your green marks. Yes, Carmen. You are correct. At your seat, you know how yesterday we did a worksheet? Got another worksheet. I'm going to put the basket back in the middle so you can put them in there. Once again, it's okay. You can get every last one of these wrong. That's okay because we're learning. But I just want you to try your best. This worksheet already has the models drawn for you. All you got to do is shade them in, just like the worksheet from yesterday, okay? So it should be a little bit easier. It's going to be right here. You're going to, when you finish it, put it in the basket. Make sure your name is on it so I know whose work it is. And do we take, How many sheets do we take? One. If we totally destroy our sheet, do we go up and grab a whole new one without asking?
No.
No. Because I gotta make sure. Yep, gotta have it. Yep, because I don't know if I have enough for everybody. Teacher table. So we're gonna be working in our math books. We use models up front. We're gonna use math folders. Sorry. We use models up here. We're gonna review models back there, and then we're gonna also use fraction bars. So for those of you that are a little confused looking at models, fraction bars might make it a little bit easier. Okay. And then hands-on, we have a fractions number sort line activity in the orange container back there. Okay. Now back groups. Are we gonna talk really loud?
No.
Are we gonna keep our voice at a whisper?
Yes. No.
We're keeping our voice at a whisper. Yep. Two groups up here. Should there be any talking happening? No. Because why?
Because those are independent.
It is independent work. I need to know what you know so I can help you. Okay? Don't move when I switch it. Okay? Just look at where you're going. Same groups as always. Sound good? So at your seat, whenever I say start the timer, Pleasant, will you start the timer for me? Whenever I say start it? Okay. Go to your station.